The FDA has recently ordered food and drug manufacturers to remove an ingredient, the red dye number 3, from products by January 15th, 2027. It is a new ban that can affect how we all consume food and buy food recently. So joining us right here live on the Splash, registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, we have Halle Saperstein. Thank you for being here, Halle.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here first and foremost because this sparked my own curiosity, and I want to kind of get into it. Your initial thoughts on the FDA's decision to ban this red dye number 3.
I think it's fantastic. Definitely a step in the right direction. If I can give you a little bit of history, there's something called the Delaney Clause that was effective in 1958. And it was it's part of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And they it was a clause to say that food additives, if they cause cancer in rats or humans, they must be banned. But in the 1980s, they started studying red dye number 3, and they found that it caused thyroid cancer in rats. And so since the 1990s, they've actually been trying to ban it in food. And actually, before they banned it in food, they banned it in makeup. So I found that to be quite interesting, like in lipsticks and things, because they found that wouldn't be safe, but yet it was still in our food. So there's a lot of, yeah, it's crazy. So there's all these watchdog organizations. One is called CSPI, the Center of Science and Public Interest. They've been fighting for years. And finally, it is a priority in the federal government to ban it. So I think it's great for consumer protection and consumer safety, as we've found that it can cause thyroid cancer in rats, and it does cause neurobehavioral issues in people.
First and foremost, thank you for that history lesson. A lot of information that I wasn't privy to, but I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience wasn't privy to as well. With that being said, there's a lot of things that we may or may not know about what's in our food and the things that we consume. So with that being said, how can parents of West Bloomfield be more aware of some of these harmful food additives to make healthier choices for our families?
Great question. First of all, you want to pay attention, stay informed, read the news. It's all over, and try to make better choices. Always buy fresh food over processed. So always, when you're shopping, shop the perimeters of the grocery store because you're going to find the fresh food. We always say, as children especially, eat a rainbow. Eat all different colors, and you can make your plate vibrant. When your kids come home from school, instead of putting out a processed snack, you could put out fresh fruit, you could put out fresh vegetables, make it fun, put dips out there. Like I said, eat a rainbow. Number 2, you could read labels. When you're, to stay informed, look at the back of packages. After I did my recent article for Henry Ford on food dyes, we actually started looking through our labels in our pantry and found there's a lot of hidden food dyes. So you have to definitely be proactive and look at things. Be creative, find things that you can color your baked goods with. You can use berries, you can use nuts, you can use different things that are going to add color without adding additives.
Interesting.
Unnatural. There's also natural food coloring you can buy. So if you're making cakes and cookies, you can find natural food dyes, just where you'd find your regular food coloring in the baking section, and you can use those. They use turmeric and they use beet juice and things like that to color things. And then also stay informed by looking at different websites. There's one called safemama.com, and on that website, there's a list of food dye-free snacks. So that way you can try to stock up your pantry and, with those healthier things and go from there.
It makes sense. But go ahead. Continue, please.
Oh, no, you're fine. You go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, but essentially what I was saying, I just want to bring up what you just said. When you look into your own cabinet, and once you're conscious of these things, you'll start to notice these type of things are in a lot of our different foods and drinks, and like you even said, lipsticks and things of that nature. So what are some of the biggest challenges families will face when trying to transition to this dye-free or additive-free food options?
So the biggest challenge, I think cost may be a challenge.
Yep.
So if you, just to keep in perspective, there's over 3,000 foods that contain red dye number 3. So you have to kind of look through the others, and so you want to, so the challenge could be it's increased production costs to not use this red dye number 3, which actually comes from petroleum. And there's a decreased demand, so at this time, we don't have as many products out there that are without, these dangerous food dyes,
Right.
but so the cost might be higher. Food additives also keep our foods fresh longer. Not the food dyes in particular, but just food additives in general. They can slow the microbial activity and slow a chemical reaction. So foods might not stay fresh as long if they don't have additives in them. And also, the food might look different to your kids because they're used to having colorful M&Ms and Skittles and things like that. And so just educating our children on, why we're making this change, and hopefully they'll buy into it.
No, I understand that too, especially when you spoke on food looking different, possibly even tasting a little bit different, lasting a little bit different. Once we remove the dyes and the additives, we're looking at completely different food for the most part. But I want to kind of speak on that to a certain angle. With us right here live on The Splash, registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, Halle Saperstein, talking about the FDA removing red dye number 3, or I should say banning it, and requiring manufacturers to remove it from their products by January 15th, 2027. Now, one thing I want to speak on is the United States compared to other countries when it comes to our food. How does the U.S. compare to other countries when it comes to food safety regulations, and what lessons can we learn from them?
So that's a good question. We actually, we compare favorably, number one. I found that really interesting during my research. In 2022, we actually ranked 13th out of 113 countries on their Global Security Index for food safety. But what we're behind in is the food additives. So food dyes and things like that. Like, for instance, in the European countries, they've actually banned red 40, the yellow dyes, and the blue dyes, and they're actually in the process of banning green dyes. But here, we're just starting out, and we're banning red number 3. So we are just in the step. We're going in the right direction, but it's definitely going to take time to make all the changes.
Yes, and from my research that I'm looking here, if I'm not mistaken, in September 2023, California became the first U.S. state to ban 6 synthetic food dyes, including red 3 and red 40 as well, for some of those risks that we were talking about. But now this is more of an entire country thing, with the FDA doing it as well.
Yeah.
So, and me going to different countries before, I've experienced different fruits and vegetables that look a little bit different and taste a little bit different. But now, kind of putting it into context, it's because different food and safety regulations from different countries and governments. So thank you for also providing that. Also, are there any natural alternatives that exist for food coloring? And can you just explain how people can incorporate them into their diets?
Yes, so there's definitely natural food dyes that we can use So if you're baking, the easiest one is if you go to the grocery store, there's right next to the unnatural food dyes, there are natural food dye packages. Now, they might be a bit more expensive, but they're using turmeric extract, carrot extract, spirulina for green, berries for purple. They use beet juice and vegetable juice for these dyes. And the other thing is, you don't really need the dye. You can just make your things look more pretty. Like if you're making a cake, for instance, instead of using a colorful dye, you could just throw a bunch of berries on top and make it beautiful. So.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. I'm getting hungry now.
Doesn't
Okay.
it? I know,
know,
it
right?
sounds much better than food dye.
But here's what I really want to get at, right? With this ban happening in less than 2 years now, obviously it's going to affect food manufacturers, but on a local level, it's going to affect grocery stores and the food that they supply. So how do you think this ban will impact local grocery shopping and product availability in our Greater West Bloomfield area?
So I think the products are gonna, start. I think there's gonna be more products, that are gonna be out there as time goes on. Again, I want, I think I recommended using different websites to sort of see what's out there. There's already products on the market, like goldfish crackers. They use natural food dyes, which is amazing. They've been doing that for quite some time. So I really don't anticipate too many bumps in the road. I actually see some of the grocery stores even promoting these products because they know that we're trying to make our foods healthier and we're trying to keep, our consumers healthy. So I think they're going to start, maybe highlighting them and end caps at grocery stores,
Right.
especially the local grocery stores. I find that, people here are very health conscious in West Bloomfield. So I see it as being a benefit. But like I said, there are 3,000 products with this red dye number 3, and there's probably a third that don't have that dye. So it's just going to take some time to kind of move them off the shelves. But like you had said too, we have till January 15th of 2027.
Correct. A lot of good key information that you're giving us right here, and don't want to hold you up too much longer. Any additional information that we should know about in regards to these food additives or dyes, or just anything in general with the food that we consume?
Yeah, just be mindful. Start reading labels. Start seeing what's in products. I mean, things as simple as like brownie mix has all these different additives. And so, trying to start to look at different recipes that you can make with your family, and it's also fun, that are not using all these additives, not using processed foods. Like I said, using, shopping the perimeters, because you want to avoid a lot of different things, not only just food dyes, but like high fructose corn syrup, MSG, brominated vegetable oil, which they find in sports drinks, which is crazy. They put all these things in that have been found to cause cancer, or some cause heart disease, like trans fats. And so we just want to make consumers more aware and try to, and like I said, there's so many resources at our fingertips with the web, with the internet. You can kind of shop before you actually enter the grocery store.
Right.
So just kind of use your resources and make good choices.
I like that you brought up the fact of reading our ingredients. I think it's a whole nother topic to get into, how to read some of these food labels, some of the words and the nutritional facts on there. That's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we'll have you back on to talk about that. But we appreciate your time and information. Once again, registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, Halle Saperstein. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.